My father served in the Vietnam War from 1960 to 1962. For a long time, he only shared this story within the family. But now that he's in his 80s, he doesn't mind if I share it with others, as long as I don't reveal our names. I've heard this story from him 5 times, and each time, I learn new details he hadn't mentioned before. My father always said this story wasn't suitable for family gatherings, maybe because he feared it would bring back the memories he'd rather forget. During the war, my father took on various roles, one of which was that of a tunnel rat. Tunnel rats were soldiers who carried out reconnaissance and demolition missions underground. Their work was extremely dangerous and psychologically disturbing. He always said the darkness, silence, and confined space underground created a strange kind of fear, like stepping into another world. One day, my father and 2 of his fellow soldiers entered a deep tunnel where they were prepared to face possible explosions or ambushes. But the tunnel was eerily quiet and empty. They only had a flashlight, a radio, and a small map showing the maze-like layout of the tunnels. While moving forward, they suddenly heard a faint sound, a woman screaming. The scream was feeble and filled with agony, as if someone had been in pain for a long time. Frightened, they hurried forward through the tunnel and eventually reached a small room. Inside, a candle was burning and a few broken chairs lay scattered. There were old bloodstains on the walls, and in one corner, a broken doll, likely belonging to a local child. These things made the atmosphere even more terrifying. They ventured deeper into the tunnel, but the screaming had stopped. They tried to radio back to base, but there was no signal. Suddenly, they felt like someone was breathing behind them. They turned around but saw nothing. One of their teammates was drenched in sweat and claimed someone had touched his shoulder. Eventually, they reached the last chamber of the tunnel, and what they saw was horrifying. Several corpses lay scattered, mutilated by something that wasn't human. Scratch marks on the walls showed that someone had tried desperately to escape. One of the bodies was of a woman, her eyes wide open and her face frozen in what seemed to be a final scream. Suddenly, the candle went out, plunging them into complete darkness. My father tried to turn on his flashlight, but it had stopped working. Only the dim light from his teammate's flashlight remained. In that darkness, they heard the same scream again, but this time, it was right next to them. They were so terrified by what they had witnessed that they rushed out of the tunnel immediately. But even after emerging, the screaming still echoed in their ears, as if the voices had settled inside them. For days, none of the 3 could sleep. One of them took his own life a few days later. In his suicide note, he had written just one sentence: "She's still calling me." My father says that the tunnel, those screams and those eyes still haunt his dreams. He believes that some wars don't just wound the body, they wound the soul. That experience remains the most terrifying and painful memory of his life, one that he has never been able to forget. It happened during my days in the Air Force, when I was stationed at Shepherd Air Force Base. I still remember that night like it was yesterday. It was a cold, quiet night, and I had duty. I was transporting some aircraft parts from the storage warehouse to the flight line. It was around 4 a.m., and the base was unusually silent, almost too silent. My body was tired, my mind numb, and I was just waiting for my partner Mark to bring the rest of the gear so we could finish the shift. Mark was one of the most reliable people I knew. Calm, smart, always smiling. You could depend on him in the worst conditions. But that night, something wasn't right. I called him on the radio, no response. Then I tried his cell. Straight to voicemail. Once, twice, third time, nothing. At first I thought he was just caught up, or maybe the signal had dropped. But then I got a call from an unknown number. The voice on the other end was strange, deep, echoing, like it wasn't coming from a phone, but from somewhere else. "Hey, I found this phone lying on the side of the road near the east fence. I think it belongs to someone named Mark." I froze. My grip tightened around the phone. "Where exactly?" I asked, my voice suddenly dry. "By the old hangar road, near the trees. He was just gone." Before I could ask anything else, the line went dead. And the number? It never worked again. I should have gone straight to command, but I didn't. I told myself maybe he dropped his phone. Maybe it's just a prank. But deep inside, something told me this was different. I grabbed the keys, hopped into the Jeep, and drove toward the east fence. That area was practically abandoned. No regular patrols, barely any lights, and those trees, they looked like skeletons in the dark. As I reached the location, my headlights caught movement, just for a second between the trees. A shadow. I stopped the vehicle and stepped out, flashlight in hand. "Hello? Mark? Is someone there?" No answer. Then I heard it. That same deep voice, but now not through a phone. It was coming from the trees. "I'm here, among the trees." I don't remember the last time I felt fear like that. It was cold, but my shirt stuck to my back with sweat. I slowly moved the flashlight toward the voice, but there was nothing. Just twisted branches and darkness. Then I heard something behind me. Soft footsteps, crunching gravel. I turned quickly. No one. My instincts kicked in. I ran. Got back into the Jeep and sped back to base like hell was chasing me. But it wasn't over. As I drove, the rearview mirror caught something that made my blood turn to ice. A figure, barely visible, sitting silently in the back seat. Just a silhouette. I looked back. Empty. I didn't stop. Didn't blink. Just drove. Once back at the base, I reported everything. Mark's disappearance, the voice, the phone call. They launched a search. They found nothing. No phone, no man, no signs of a struggle. It was like he vanished. Then 3 days later, Mark returned, alive, walking, but not the same. He came in through the main gate, escorted by military police who found him wandering the perimeter at dawn. He didn't speak for hours, just sat there, eyes empty, face pale. When he finally spoke, all he said was, "I was never really gone, but I wasn't here either." No one understood what he meant. He wouldn't answer questions, wouldn't meet anyone's eyes. He started keeping to himself, avoiding conversations, skipping meals. There were times I'd see him staring out into the night for hours, like something out there was calling him. Then one night, he tried to take his own life. We found him in time, barely. He was hospitalized, moved to a military psych ward, and that was the last time I saw him. I started digging, talking to old officers, reading base history. What I found disturbed me. That area near the old hangar road, it used to be part of a classified chemical testing zone during World War II. Records were scarce, redacted, but I found whispers in old forums and testimonies, strange sightings, disappearing personnel, voices in the trees. One retired ranger, clearly haunted, once told me, "That place is not haunted, son. It's alive, and it doesn't let go." Years have passed since then. I've retired from service, built a different life, but that night still visits me in my dreams. The voice, the shadow in the back seat, the silence that followed. Sometimes when the night is especially quiet, I hear that voice again. "I'm here, among the trees." And I wonder, what would have happened if I had walked into those woods? Would I have returned like Mark did, or never at all? It happened one night during my patrol when I was stationed near the edge of the city. My duty was to watch over an old graveyard, hidden behind a row of thick, gnarled trees. The area was always eerily silent, and that night, the silence felt heavier than usual. It was around 3 a.m. I was exhausted, barely keeping my eyes open, as I walked past a broken headstone worn out by time. That's when I heard it, a woman's soft humming, gentle, melancholic, echoing through the trees. At first I thought it was my imagination, a trick of the night. But it continued, so clear and haunting, I couldn't ignore it. I walked towards the sound, slowly pushing past the thick branches. But the moment I stepped into the clearing, the humming stopped. Dead silence. I turned my flashlight around but saw nothing. Just tombstones, dry leaves, and darkness. Then from the corner of my eye, I noticed a faint glow coming from an old abandoned structure at the far end of the cemetery. It looked like a crumbling building, maybe once an office or a mausoleum. I approached it cautiously, my breath shallow, my hands cold despite the mild air. I used my phone to peek through a broken window, and I swear to God I saw a woman's face staring back at me from inside. I stumbled backward, heart pounding, and let out a scream I didn't know I had in me. I ran. I didn't stop until I reached the guard post. I radioed my partner, Zayan, and told him what I saw. He agreed to go back there with me. But when we returned to that same spot just 10 minutes later, the place was empty. The glow was gone. The building was pitch dark. There was no face, no sign that anything had ever happened. Maybe it was a trick of the mind, but something in my gut told me it wasn't. After that night, I couldn't rest. I kept thinking about her. Those hollow eyes, pale skin, and the way her lips moved as she hummed that ghostly tune. I decided to take the same patrol route every night. The second night, I heard nothing. The third, just the wind. But on the fifth night, I heard it again. That same humming, only this time, it was closer. I tried calling Zion again, but he didn't respond. I was alone. The sound led me back to the same structure. But something felt different. The door, which was once half closed, now stood fully open. A pale blue light flickered from within, like a candle struggling to stay alive. I stepped inside. The room was cold, colder than it should have been. The walls were covered with symbols, scratched into the stone, pictures of graves, scribbled names, and on the far wall, words written in what looked like dried blood, in a language I didn't recognize. Then I heard her voice. Close, too close. "Why did you come back?" she whispered. I froze. I turned and there she was, floating, inches above the ground. Her dress was torn, her hair long and messy, her eyes pitch black. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't angry. She just stared, like she was waiting for something. Then she spoke again. "They all come back, those who still think they're alive after death. I don't remember running. I just know I did. I fell, got scraped, didn't look back, ran straight to the base, collapsed near the checkpoint." Zayan found me minutes later. His face turned pale when he saw me. "You too?" he asked. "What do you mean?" I stammered. He looked away. Then, almost whispering, he said, "I saw her. Last month. Same face. Same voice." We decided to investigate, dug through old files, searched historical records, talked to some retired guards and locals, and that's when we found her. Zara Bibi, a woman who used to work in a private clinic near the graveyard in the 1940s. She was a healer, said to cure people with spiritual methods. Some called her a saint, others, a witch. One night, a fire broke out. The clinic was destroyed. Her body was never found. Many believe she died there. Others think she became something else. Since then, people who patrolled the area late at night reported strange things, figures in the trees, whispers, glowing lights. But here's what no one told us. That old structure we entered, it never existed on the current map. It had burned down 70 years ago. Years have passed since that incident. I've left the service, live a quiet life now. But sometimes on silent nights, when the clock hits 3 a.m., I hear it again, that same gentle humming, this time from the corner of my room. And her words echo in my head over and over. They all come back, those who still think they're alive after death. Sometimes when I stare too long in the mirror, I wonder, did I ever really make it out that night?